Welcome everybody, Film Fan 108 here with my Blu-ray pickups video for August of 2018, and as you can see here, I have quite the stack to show you guys for the month. Picked up a lot of great titles here. So let's get started with the first title for the month that I got, and this is a Region 2 UK release. Now before I show it, I picked it up through Amazon UK. Now, it came to me in this box. This box, guys, it got shipped right here through this big ass box from Amazon UK. I don't know if they ship Blu-rays like this normally or not. Usually haven't gotten them shipped like this before, but one tiny Blu-ray got shipped in this box. Came perfectly fine, slipcover, everything, but hey man, I guess they ship better than Amazon US. What can I tell you, right? And that title is none other than 88 Films' release of Bad Dreams. Now, I really like this title. Now, Screen Factory did release this on a double feature disc on Blu-ray with Visiting Hours, and I wasn't the biggest fan of Visiting Hours, so I decided, you know what, I'm gonna wait, and maybe down the line somebody's gonna release it on a single edition, you know, just a Blu-ray release. And thankfully 88 Films did. This is their Slasher Classics Collection number 37 it is. And like I said, that wonderful slipcover right there. And also here you have the other side of it, which is just sort of a black and white version of this cover right here. And this movie stars Jennifer Rubin, and it's about sort of this girl who's with her parents and all these people in this cult, and one day they decide to burn themselves and kill themselves, and the only survivor of that is this little girl, and basically she's in a coma for many years, and in that time she grows up, and she suddenly wakes up, and she's this sort of phenomenon. People want to talk to her about what happened and everything. And while that's happening, she's getting these visions, and she's getting these nightmarish images of the cult leader badly burnt, and she's wondering whether it's all in her head or whether it's real, and all these other people around her are dying, and she's wondering what's happening. It's a really great movie, a really great solid horror movie from the 80s. Sort of towards the end of the 80s, sort of that last gasp of the 80s. And a lot of people at the time compared this to Nightmare on Elm Street, primarily because of Jennifer Rubin. She had been in The Dream Warriors, and a lot of people kind of felt like they were ripping off sort of Freddy. And you watch the movie now, and it doesn't really feel that way. I think people sort of went in with that perception. The movie still did well. It's still really well known, well liked, but I think the perception was there. Rewatching it, you can kind of see that that's not the case, but it's a really well done story. I really actually like Jennifer Rubin in it. I think she does a great job. Bruce Abbott from Reanimator is in here. He does an awesome job as well. And yeah, it's a really solid horror film, and 88 Films did a really great job with this release, guys. The picture quality is decent. It's not great. This is one of those older sort of horror titles that doesn't get a lot of love sometimes, so it wasn't going to get this great picture quality, but they did a decent job. You also here get a new interview with the director, Andrew Fleming, talking about making the movie. You get a new interview with actress Jennifer Rubin, and she talks about so many wonderful things about her career and about the perception of women in Hollywood. She also talks about how she used to have a stalker, and it's a really elaborate interview. I really did love it. You also get an interview with an academic curator, Spencer Murphy, talking about the movie and its influences. An audio commentary by genre experts talking about their love for the movie and where it fits in the 80s horror genre. Really solid title from 88 Films. I usually don't buy a lot of Region 2 releases, but this one, I just knew I love the movie. I wanted to pick it up. Great film. Glad I got it in the collection. Bad Dreams. And the next title I picked up was from Shout Factory, and oh man, when it was announced, guys, I kind of couldn't resist. It was part of my childhood, and it was so kind of cool finally getting to pick it up. And that is none other than Mac and Me, right here. Now, man, I used to love this film back when I was a kid. And this is part of why I love sort of movies like this. It's sort of the cheesy B-movie aspect. It was kind of ripping off E.T. and all those other movies, but it was so fun and enjoyable. And it's about sort of this alien space probe from the United States that, or Earth, I should say. And it goes to Mars, and these aliens are looking at it, weird-looking aliens, and they get sucked into the space probe, and the probe comes back to Earth, and these scientists and astronauts, they open up this probe, and these aliens come out, and one of the aliens escapes and sort of befriends this kid in a wheelchair, and sort of all these sort of crazy and wonderful hijinks happen from there. You know, rewatching the movie, it is definitely a big nostalgia piece. Not only is it a big nostalgia piece, but it's so cheesy, man. It's so B-movie and cheesy, but God, I just love it. And I still love it to this day. I thought I wouldn't like it anymore, guys, but man, I really did enjoy this. This was a solid title. Rewatching it, I just had so much fun with it. And I love the designs of the aliens with the really big eyes and the puffed out cheeks and everything. Very, very weird, but really oddly fascinating and interesting. And I know a lot of people make fun of this movie, but for me, it's such a joy to watch this thing. It's so awesome. I really did love it. And Shout Factory, I think, did actually a really good job with this movie. You know, the picture quality is pretty decent actually for this release. I thought it was pretty good. And you do get some special features here. You get a new interview with one of the songwriters talking about, you know, why they did the project, the songs, etc., etc. You also end up getting a new interview with the director who talks about his influences on the film, why he chose to do certain things with it, all this other stuff. They tried to sort of get him to talk about the commercialization of this movie, why the whole McDonald's sequence and everything, and he kind of shies away from it, unfortunately. I wish he would have talked more about the McDonald's stuff, because that is just weird for this movie, but oddly fascinating, and I wish he would have talked about it more. You also get a audio commentary with the director and a historian. It's a really great audio commentary. They really delve into the making of this movie and the children's aspect and how it wasn't originally that way, and it's a really great audio commentary. The great back and forth that they have, again, really great. I really loved hearing them talk about this film, and it's just a really wonderful little film that I'm glad I finally own. I didn't think this was ever going to get a Blu-ray release, guys, and the fact that Shout Factory put out a collector's edition of it is very, very cool. I really did enjoy it, and yeah, it's oddly B-movie cheesiness, ripping off E.T., but you know what? Equally as good, and I really do enjoy it quite a bit, guys. Mac and Me. And the next title that I picked up is a John Carpenter title and a Scream Factory title, and that is none other than Someone's Watching Me, right here, guys. And, you know, I love John Carpenter. And I thought I had seen everything that John Carpenter has done, but apparently not. Now, this is a TV movie, and again, he's only done a couple really TV movies. He did Elvis with Kurt Russell, and I didn't really ever know about this film. Now, Someone's Watching Me stars Lauren Hutton, Adrienne Barbeau, Charles Cyphers, and it's about this woman who moves into this high-rise apartment, and she's really feeling great about herself, wonderful, and there's this guy across the way who's basically watching her and stalking her and basically ruining her life, and she has to try to find out who it is and try to just just try to just escape this guy and try to figure out, what she can do. And it's a really effective thriller. And again, I was really shocked because I had never heard of this title, and when Scream Factory announced it, I was like, I gotta pick this up, man, because any unknown Carpenter that I don't know, I gotta see it. It's fascinating, and it really is solid. Lauren Hutton is awesome in here. Adrienne Barbeau, very early role, she does a great job in here as well. And crazy enough, because the special features, there's a lot of really great information here. This movie, John Carpenter directed this movie before Halloween, but this movie came out after Halloween. And I'm not sure why. Maybe because they didn't trust in the movie enough, or they didn't trust in John Carpenter, and when Halloween was a big success, they put this out there. I'm not really sure why, but what's great about this movie is that you can actually see a lot of influences in this film that he would do in Halloween. Things like the stalking stuff and the creeping up on people and sort of the camera shots and everything. Stuff that he took and put in Halloween. Really fascinating here. I thought it was a really wonderful, well done movie, and a really solid little TV movie thriller that, oddly enough, I'm glad I picked up, glad I got to see. And I think Scream Factory did a really great job here. Picture quality is pretty darn good for this TV movie. Thought it was really well done here. You also get new interviews with Adrienne Barbeau and Charles Cyphers talking about, of course, making the movie, working with John Carpenter, what they thought of the TV movie itself. Very fascinating interviews here. You also get a new audio commentary with author Amanda Reyes. She wrote this TV movie compendium, and she does a great commentary here, talking about how this movie fits into other TV movies of the past, John Carpenter's style, the making of it. She really talks about a lot with this movie. She's great audio commentary. Really loved hearing her thoughts on this. You also get an old school mini featurette, John Carpenter, director Rising. He talks about the making of this movie and how it influenced Halloween. Very cool as well. TV promos and much more. Yes, again, sometimes you get surprised by directors. You never know sometimes some of these unknown titles that they directed. And this one was definitely a really pleasant surprise. If you have not checked out this movie, I definitely highly recommend it. Someone's watching me, guys. Then the next title I picked up is a Severin release, and I definitely had to pick up this title because I never heard of it before, but I knew that everyone was praising it, and I couldn't wait to check it out. And that is The Changeling right here, guys. Now, of course, you have the slipcover right here, but you also have the other end of it, which is more just a red look to the cover art here. And I really do love the black case. I think the black case looks awesome here. And I had heard that this movie is on everyone's top, 100 greatest horror films of all time, and it's one of the best ghost stories ever. And, again, it's a movie that I never really got a chance to watch. I had heard of it, but never got around to it. And when Severin ended up announcing it, I was like, okay, this is something I definitely got to check out. And what is great about this movie, it's about this guy who ends up going on this winter vacation with his family, and a big tragedy happens where basically his wife and daughter end up getting killed. And he is devastated, and 6 months or so later, he's trying to still cope with it, and he ends up teaching at this college to sort of try to take his mind off of things. And he is getting contacted by this child, this sort of ghost that lives in the house that he's living in at the moment, and he's got to figure out what this ghost wants, why it hasn't went to rest, and he has to figure out the mysteries. And it's a really fascinating movie, guys. I was really pleasantly surprised by it. I think George C. Scott does a fucking awesome job in this movie. He is awesome in this, and it's really atmospheric, really creepy. I loved the ghost story aspect to it. It's very old school, just like Someone's Watching Me. It's very old school, and you just love it. You love that it doesn't, it feels classic, and I think that's the thing that really I love about it the most. I really love this. It really feels really wonderful here, and again, I feel like there's not many wonderful ghost stories out there as far as movies are concerned. There's a few that I really do like, but I think this one is actually one of the best ones, guys. It really is. I was pleasantly surprised. Love this movie a lot. And again, it's a really great slice of the 80s and the 70s. It feels very sort of old school classic, and definitely worth your time to check out. And I thought Severin did a really great job with this release. You end up getting here the haunting true story of the Changeling. This movie, crazy enough, guys, is based on a true story, and this guy, there's a featurette on here where this guy talks about Cheeseman Park and how back in the day children were dying, and it's still haunted to this day, and this movie's sort of based on that, and it's really fascinating stuff. I really like that a lot. You also get here the music of the Changeling, talking with the music arranger. You have an interview with the art director. You have the psychotronic tourist who goes to the different locations of the Changeling and talks about them. You also get Mick Garris talking about the Changeling, the influences of it, how he really loves the movie. You get posters, still galleries, radio spots, TV spots, trailers, much more. Guys, if you haven't checked out The Changeling, definitely do it. I was so wonderfully surprised by this movie. And again, you know, sometimes I'm really pleasantly surprised by movies that I've never checked out. You never know. This was a complete blind buy, and again, I really loved it. Severin did an awesome job with this release. If you haven't picked it up, if you haven't checked it out, definitely do it. The Changeling. Then the next title that I picked up is a Code Red release, guys. And, you know, lately I've been picking up a lot of Laura Gemser titles if you've been watching the Blu-ray pickup videos. And I finally found one more Laura Gemser title out there. And of course I couldn't resist to pick it up. And that is Erotic Nights of the Living Dead, guys. Oh boy, talking about this movie. Now, Laura Gemser, she's done a lot of these sort of sexploitation films. And it's always about sort of her in these sort of crazy situations, and there's a lot of sex and nudity in them. But generally, there's actually some kind of story to them, and there's an interesting fascination with the story and the characters. Guys, I'm not going to lie to you. This is a flat-out porno. This is a flat-out ridiculous porno with a barely thin plot about this guy who buys this sort of island, and he goes to sort of check it out, and there's these sort of living dead people there that are haunting the island, and Laura Gemser is like the ringleader or the mistress of these sort of living dead people, and sex and nudity ensue, and it's a barely thin plot, and there's a hell of a lot of sex in here. This is basically a porno masking itself as a horror film, and it's just over the top ridiculous B-movie cheese. But oddly enough, I kind of enjoyed it, guys. I don't know, I went in with low expectations, and I was pleasantly surprised, crazy enough. I think the makeup is kind of cool, cheesy, but fun. The acting is really just bad, but somehow is sort of charming to watch. It's really an odd title, and like I said, this is a major porno. If you can see the back, and there is nudity on the back, guys, just so you see here. Yeah, there is a lot of nudity on the back here. This is just a really just out there weird porno title that I, crazy enough, kind of enjoyed, guys. What can I tell you? It's one of those odd titles, but pleasantly surprised, actually. Just know going in that it's definitely a porno. It's directed by Joe D'Amato, who did a lot of very interesting films. This is definitely one of them. And it also stars George Eastman as well, Mark Shannon. Again, just a very fun and weird horror sex romp, I guess I could call it. But Code Red did a decent job on this title. It's not actually bad. You get a brand new 2018 HD scan. It's not a great scan. It's okay, but it's actually better than I expected. The film looks pretty decent. You also get a brand new on-camera interview with star Mark Shannon, and this guy, man, this guy talks about his career in movies, talking about the different pornos that he was in, talking about the women that he's had sex with. He also talks about how basically now he's kind of poor because he doesn't have a 401k because he was in pornos and basically they weren't offering 401ks back in the day. So it's a very weird interview, but I really appreciated it. You get alternate footage and a Laura Gemser gallery here. I don't know how many more Laura Gemser titles are left, guys. I'm gonna try to keep on finding them, but this was one of the oddest ones I think I've picked up yet, but oddly charming, and I definitely did enjoy it. If you get a chance to watch Erotic Nights of the Living Dead, go in with checked expectations, but you might enjoy it. Erotic Nights of the Living Dead, guys. The next title that I picked up, guys, is a Kino Lorber release, and that is none other than The Day After here, guys. Now, back a while ago in the Blu-ray pickups videos, I showed you guys that I picked up Severin's release of Threads. Now, that is the UK equivalent of The Day After, and yeah, I think Threads is a little bit more hard-hitting of a movie than The Day After is, but this is still a brutally honest, very effective, hard-hitting, really emotional movie about these group of people in this small town that after the nuclear bombs drop, they have to deal with the aftermath of the destruction and the devastation and the chaos and the death tolls that happen. And man, they just don't make these movies like this anymore, guys. I wish they still made movies like this again. You know, the reality is that we live in a world now where we're closer to nuclear war than I think we've ever been before. And movies like this is a really great cautionary tale about what would happen if, God forbid, nuclear bombs would drop and what would happen and just the chaos and the brutality of it. It really is sort of mind-blowing, and it was devastating when I watched it back in the day. Now it's even more devastating and really hard-hitting and a real gut punch. Movies like Threads and The Day After are just really great movies that just sit back and take in and just change your complete perspective on nuclear radiation. It is very, very powerful, guys. And you have a lot of great actors in this piece. You have Steve Guttenberg, Jason Robards, JoBeth Williams, John Lithgow, a host of others. Really, really well done actors doing a fantastic job in this. It's great. And this movie is also directed by Nicholas Myers. Now, if you guys are Star Trek fans, you know that name because he directed one of the best Star Trek films of all time, Star Trek The Wrath of Khan. He also directed, I believe, Star Trek The Undiscovered Country as well. Really solid director, did a great job with this piece. And Kino Lorber gave it the love that it richly deserves. You get here the original 122-minute TV cut and the 127-minute theatrical cut. I actually prefer the 127-minute theatrical cut. Not a lot of minutes are added on, but I think what we get is more character interactions, character development, a little bit more destruction and death toll. I think it's a better overall sort of structured movie with the extra added minutes, so I definitely prefer it. You also, again, an interview with star JoBeth Williams talking about how she got involved with the movie, working with the actors, what she thought of the finished product. Very interesting there. You also get an interview with the director Nicholas Meyer, talking about his passion for making this movie, talking about really fighting with the studio. He was really fighting with the studio about things in the movie that he really wanted but they didn't, and fighting for everything that he did, and talking about the finished film and just the state of where we are at a country, and really fascinating interview, guys. I really enjoyed his thoughts. You also get here an audio commentary by a film historian and a comic book artist slash writer talking about their love for this movie, talking about TV movies of the past and how this movie fits in, the time it was made in the 80s, and also really talking about how the Reagan administration actually changed their point of view on nuclear war after seeing this movie. That's how powerful this movie is, guys. It's a really well done movie, and I really do appreciate movies like this. It's so fantastic. The Day After and movies like Threads are definitely cautionary tales that need to be seen, need to be experienced. They're very important for historical purposes, and I'm really glad to finally own this in the collection. So glad it got the love it deserves. The Day After. Then the next title I picked up was honestly a no-brainer, guys. It was so good of a movie, I had to pick it up. And that is Marvel's Avengers Infinity War here on 4K, Blu-ray, and digital. The Cinematic Universe edition, and with that wonderful art right there on the cover. Very cool. And you know what, man? I saw this in the theater, and I absolutely loved it. It was so fantastic of an experience. And yes, I am a Marvel fanboy. I do like the Marvel films. I just really appreciate how much work they've done in a span of 10 years since 2008's Iron Man, of really building this cinematic universe and really developing these characters, and it's been such an awesome ride. And this movie is definitely a culmination of a lot of those storylines and a lot of things that have happened over the years. And yeah, not every movie is great in the whole Marvel, pantheon, but you know what? I do really enjoy most of the movies, and I do really give them a lot of credit for just taking the effort that they have been over the years. Good or bad, they've at least tried, and I give them a lot of effort and a lot of credit for it. And this movie basically is about Thanos, who finally comes front and center in the story, wanting to destroy basically most of the universe, and the Avengers have to stop him. I won't say any more than that, guys, but I will say that it's really well done. Thanos is a fully fleshed out villain. The reasons why he's doing what he's doing are really well thought out. He's actually one of the best Marvel villains that we've had in a long time. I really appreciated him as a villain. I loved it. I thought all the actors, Downey and Evans and Hemsworth, Tom Holland, everybody, Benedict Cumberbatch, they all do such an awesome job with this movie, guys. They really are absolutely amazing in this. The action is great. The CGI is great. I thought the overall story was great. And yeah, it sort of leaves off in a cliffhanger thing, but I will tell you guys this, though, that it's a really great cliffhanger. You definitely want to see what's going to happen next. And I just hope part 2, when that comes out next year, man, I hope that it delivers in a big bad way. I hope that it's just as good of a film as this one, if not better. I definitely love this movie, guys. It's such a great culmination of a 10-year experience. Really well done. And I think Disney gave it the love that it deserves on 4K and Blu-ray. The picture quality looks phenomenal, guys. And you get here a gag reel, deleted scenes. You get an audio commentary here with Russo brothers and the writers talking about bringing Thanos to the big screen, the difficulties of making the movie, writing it, bringing the actors together. A lot of really great information in this audio commentary, guys. You also get some featurettes really talking about the making of it. Small featurettes, not anything like a big documentary. I wish we would have gotten a documentary, and hopefully maybe the next Avengers release, maybe we'll get a good-sized documentary. I'd love to see it. But yeah, they definitely did put at least enough that it is worth picking up, guys. And if you haven't checked out Marvel's Avengers Infinity War, definitely do it. It's a great movie, a blast watching it, and a great culmination of a fantastic journey so far for Marvel. Infinity War, guys. Then the next pickup that I got is another Kino Lorber release of a movie that really deserved love. Finally happy I got it. And that is none other than Deep Rising, guys. As you can see, the slipcover here, the new art, very cool. And on the inside, you also get the theatrical art as well right here. Very cool also. And, back in the 90s, there was a lot of cool creature features. Things like The Relic, Mimic, this film. And the problem when this movie came out is I think a lot of people were really tired of a lot of those movies. I think a lot of those films had come out at that point. You also had a lot of boat movies like Deep Blue Sea come out, and of course the ultimate boat movie, Titanic, came out and just destroyed this movie at the box office. And it just really came and went in the theaters really fast, and you would think that was it. No one would ever hear of it again, but a lot of people found it on home video and really sort of attached themselves to it and really fell in love with it. And it became sort of this cult classic over the years, and very well deserved. It's really about a bunch of people on this sort of ship that are going on this sort of like adventure slash mission, and basically they go head into this storm, and the storm is really terrible and it's just devastating, and they're trying to find help, and they find this sort of cruise ship, and they go to this cruise ship for help, and they find that the cruise ship is completely abandoned, and they are trying to find out what happened, and they realize that there's these creatures on the ship that are attacking them and have attacked the people on the ship beforehand, and they're trying to survive and trying to kill the creatures. And man, it's just a really fun time. I really do love this movie. It's directed by Stephen Sommers, who also directed The Mummy, but I tend to like this a little bit better than The Mummy, even though that film was really cool. Famke Janssen is awesome in this. Treat Williams is great in here. And a little trivia real quick about Treat Williams. Not really trivia, but more of just keep a lookout for it. In the movie, while you're watching the movie, keep an eye on Treat Williams' hair. Okay, because Treat Williams' hair never moves out of place to save his life. Whether it's getting wet or he's doing action and running around and jumping and everything, his hair stays perfectly formed the entire time. Hey man, Treat Williams is not only a badass in this movie, but perfectly well coiffed hair. The man must have a great conditioner. I don't know, but I really did love this movie. It's a blast, really R-rated, gory, bloody, good time, and I just really thought that this is such a fantastic release. And again, watching it another time was just sort of a blast. You're like, wow, man, they just don't make creature features like this anymore. And that's what I love about the 90s. The 90s had good movies, and Deep Rising was one of them, guys. And Kino Lorber, like I said, gave it the love that it finally deserves. You get a new audio commentary by Stephen Sommers and editor Bob Duxey here, and they have a blast watching this movie. They are just quipping, and they are laughing and having a good time watching it, putting out cool anecdotes about the movie. They love watching this, and you can easily tell. The audio commentary is fantastic here. You also get new interviews with Wes Studi, Kevin O'Connor, and Anthony Heald, who is the villain in the movie, and a great interview with Anthony Heald, who talks about how he almost lost his leg making this movie. He had some sort of like gangrene in his leg while he was filming, and they almost had to cut his leg off. Very fascinating stuff in the interviews. Really well done there. You also get interviews with the second unit director, Dean Cundy, a couple of visual effects artists, interviews with the special effects artists, the director of photography, ILM behind-the-scenes extras, newly commissioned art, animated image gallery, trailers, and so much more. Kino Lorber gave it the love that it so richly deserves, and I'm kind of hoping that if this movie comes out, hopefully we'll get one for like The Relic. I'm kind of hoping, because like I said, those cool creature features back in the day were really awesome, and things like this sort of give me hope for other stuff that is coming out. So yeah, if you guys have not checked out Deep Rising, I highly recommend it. You're into creature features, you're into sort of, these boat type of, monster movies, definitely check out Deep Rising. Really awesome, guys. Think you'd like it. Then the next title that I picked up is another Kino Lorber title, and that is none other than Color of Night here, guys. And this film is a really fascinating movie because it's another movie from the 90s, but it's an erotic thriller, kind of in the vein of sort of something like Basic Instinct or even Fatal Attraction, something like that. And Bruce Willis is really awesome in this. And this was sort of back in the 90s when Bruce Willis, his career was kind of hit and miss, but he was doing a lot of really interesting projects like this or The Last Boy Scout, something like 12 Monkeys, really interesting work that Bruce Willis was doing. And this is a really well done piece. It's basically about Bruce Willis, who plays this psychiatrist, and he ends up getting involved in this group of people who all have a connection to this mysterious person who's trying to kill them and attack them. And all the while this is happening, Bruce Willis gets involved in this sort of erotic relationship with this really mysterious woman, and just sort of sex and death sort of ensue from there. And man, they really don't make them like this anymore. It's really sort of one of the best sort of erotic thrillers that I ever saw when I was younger. And maybe I shouldn't have seen this when I was younger, but you know, you're clicking Cinemax, you're clicking stuff, and suddenly it comes on, and you're like, oh, I'll just watch this, and suddenly a sex scene comes on, and you're a young sort of teenage kid, and you're like, okay, I'm just gonna keep on watching it, and it was a really fun time watching it, and it's just a well done story. Bruce Willis is awesome in this, and you get a lot more actors than just Bruce Willis here, man. You get a lot of actors here. Lance Henriksen, Leslie Ann Warren, Scott Bakula, Brad Dourif, Eric LaSalle, Shirley Knight. My God, man, the actors up the wazoo in this thing. Everyone does a really awesome job here, and I just love the story. And again, things like Basic Instinct, Color of Night, these are erotic thrillers that we really don't get much of anymore. They don't make them like this. The 90s had some really great ones. This is definitely one of them, really right up your alley if you love these type of movies. And yeah, Color of Night is really, really brilliant here. And Kino Lorber did give it the love that it deserves, like it does for so many. You get the 122-minute theatrical cut and the 140-minute director's cut. Now, I actually prefer the 140-minute director's cut. Now, it's a lot longer, but I think you get better character interactions, you get better flowing story. I think it works better as a movie, the longer cut. The shorter cut, I think, takes out certain things that really needed to be there for the story. And I don't mind longer films as long as the story is better, and it definitely is with the longer cut, so I appreciate that. You also get an audio commentary by the director, Richard Rush, on the director's cut, and he is awesome talking about this movie. He talks about the difficulties of making it. He talks about casting the leading lady. He talks about all their actors in the piece. He talks about what the studio wanted to make versus him. Talks about his whole career. Very interesting audio commentary. Loved it. You also get another audio commentary by the screenwriter that is on the theatrical cut. Very fascinating, talking about writing this movie and just sort of the perception of erotic thrillers back in the day, and very fascinating audio commentary as well. You also get trailers for other Kino Lorber releases. Yeah, a very solid title from Kino Lorber. Again, one of those sort of lost Bruce Willis movies that not many people talk about, and I kind of wish they did because it's so wonderful and really well done. And if you guys have not heard of this movie, I really highly recommend checking out Color of Night. If you love those old school erotic thrillers, you'll definitely enjoy this, guys. And the next title I picked up is, a no-brainer, guys. Come on now. It was a no-brainer to pick up. And that is Deadpool 2, guys, right here. The super duper messed up cut there. Collectible only at Best Buy, Steelbook. The Blu-ray and digital version here. And very cool here. As you can see, I'll sort of take out the slip here. You get the cover there. Very cool. And on the back side, very awesome also. And on the inside here, you get some cool artwork also. Deadpool here chasing after a buddy right there, and he's chasing after, if I can show you guys right here, he's chasing after Blind Al. So right there, yeah, very cool. And, you know, when I saw this movie in the theater, man, it was just a blast watching this movie, guys. It was a really well done movie. And, you know, honestly, I will say this much, guys. I think that that first Deadpool movie, I think, is a better film than this one. That first Deadpool movie came out of nowhere, and I think this one sort of was more anticipated. People were looking at it more, and I think all eyes were on it. And I think they're throwing a lot at the wall. Some sticks, some doesn't. I think overall the first film is better, but this is such a blast and a fun experience to watch this movie, guys. And Ryan Reynolds still kills it as Deadpool. It's basically about him dealing with losing his fiancée and just thinking that there's nothing left for him in the world. And all the while he meets this kid who's very superpowered and doesn't really want anything to do with this kid. But once Cable comes back from the future to try to kill this kid, he realizes that this kid is very important and that he really needs to save this kid. And it's a really cool story just about finding your family, and it has an emotional story, but it's definitely very raunchy, and it definitely has a lot of the Deadpool humor, the swearing, the jokes left and right. It is still really, really great. And like I said, Ryan Reynolds kills it. Josh Brolin as Cable is fucking awesome in it. Everybody is really, really solid in this movie. It's such a really well done thing. I really loved it a lot. And David Leitch directed this movie. Of course, he directed Atomic Blonde, which I loved, and he also co-directed John Wick, and that's a great movie as well. He did an awesome job with that. And yeah, this is just a solid, really well done anti-superhero film. Even though there's an emotional story here and it definitely has those superhero characters, it's not your typical superhero film, and that's what I like about it. It doesn't go to expectations, which is what I like. It differs from them, and it does its own thing, and it's sort of the punk rock version of superheroes, which is really something that I love. And I think that they gave this really great love on Blu-ray and digital. The picture looks phenomenal, guys. You get here basically deleted and extended scenes. You get here a gag reel. You get great audio commentary with Ryan Reynolds and David Leitch and the writers really talking about the movie, and they really have a fun time watching this. You also really get a lot of great featurettes talking about the CGI and talking about the characters and the making of it and the expectations for the sequel, and just a really, really well done set of extras. Almost feels like if you put these all together, a really great documentary about the making of the movie. Fantastically well done. And you also get the theatrical cut here, and you get the super duper cut. Now, I actually like the super duper cut a little bit more. Not a lot of minutes are added to the film, but what you get here is actually alternate takes, alternate music, alternate jokes. Some of them work better than what is in the theatrical version. I actually really enjoyed it a lot, and yeah, it's a really solid movie. I hope we actually get more Deadpool in the future. Ryan Reynolds has come out and said that he doesn't think that we're actually going to get more Deadpool because he believes that the studio is not really interested in making that. I don't know, because Disney, it's Disney that's going to own this, so maybe they're too family friendly to make it. I hope not. I hope we get more Deadpool because, man, I just love Ryan Reynolds as this role. He kills it. And we need a superhero like Deadpool in our lives now, man. When superhero movies are getting really serious, Deadpool kind of takes the cake and deflates these movies a little bit and has fun with them. And I really do enjoy it a lot. Very, really, really well done, guys. And if you guys have not picked up Deadpool 2, I recommend it for you guys. Deadpool 2. And the next title that I picked up is the Blu-ray, DVD, and digital of Book Club. Now, I really love romantic comedies. I have quite a few in the collection, guys. But the thing with romantic comedies now is that a lot of them have a lot of very younger actors in them, younger characters. A lot of them are set in high school or college about finding love and the complications of that. And that's fine. There's an audience for it, and some are passable, some are pretty good. You can find a lot of them on Netflix, but those are not the romantic comedies that I really gravitate towards. I gravitate to more adult romantic comedies like Book Club that has a really great message attached to it. I really like the message in this film, and messages like this in other romantic comedies, which is basically that just because society says that you're done, basically when society thinks that you're now too old to really have a social life, that doesn't mean that you still can't live your life to the fullest. You can still find love and still find happiness even years after the fact. And I really do appreciate that message, especially when I'm getting older and that message hits me more and more every year. I really do appreciate those type of stories, and this is a really great one about basically these women who have this book club, and one of the ladies ends up introducing 50 Shades of Grey into the mix and saying, hey, this will really spice up our reading material. And it does, and they end up basically sort of getting the fire back in their lives and more romance into their sort of everyday living because of this book. And they just realize that, you know what, we can still be these really hot women. We can still have a life. We're not bound to wheelchairs. We're not anything like that. We can still live and still have fun. And it's a really great, wonderful, entertaining, funny movie that is really heartwarming and has a lot of really great emotion to it. And I really did enjoy it. And I really did enjoy seeing these leading ladies in a movie again. A lot of these leading ladies, I grew up with a lot of their movies and TV shows when I was younger. My mother is a fan of a lot of these ladies, and she definitely influenced me with a lot of their work over the years. And so it was fun seeing all of them in a movie together. And it was just a really fun time in the theater watching, and I really enjoyed it. And this movie also reminds me of a movie like The First Wives Club, which also has Diane Keaton in it, which had a really great ensemble cast and a really great funny story. And they don't make a lot of these movies for older folks anymore. Like I said, romantic comedies gravitate more towards the younger and don't go for the more adult fare, the more older generation. And I wish they would, because movies like this are a real surprise. I really did enjoy it a lot. And yeah, it was a really wonderful surprise. Movie has a lot of heart to it. And you get a lot of really great features here. You get inside the making of Book Club, talking about the process of making the movie, how the filmmakers had a lot of trouble making this movie over the years, that it was at one studio, and then that studio basically just shelved it for years until the filmmakers could finally grab a hold of it again, and then trying to cast it. And it was just a really, really wonderful process of trying to make this movie and make it happen. Really enjoyed that. You also get deleted scenes. Another featurette, it all started with a book talking about how 50 Shades of Grey influenced this movie. Even though it's not a great book and certainly not a great movie franchise, at least it turned out to be part of a great movie. So I do appreciate that. You also get Casting Book Club, talking about casting the leading ladies and the older male actors for their counterparts. And it's a really great story about how some of the actors weren't really great on the script at first, but influenced it and made it their own. Very interesting. You also have Living in the Moment, talking about the theme song for the film and much, much more. pretty good special features here and a solid romantic comedy. If you like more adult fare for your romantic comedies like I do, definitely give it a chance. This movie has a lot of wonderful heart to it. Book club, guys. And the next title that I picked up was definitely a surprise. I was not really thinking about picking this up, but once I saw the movie, it really is quite wonderful. And that is American Animals, with that really cool cover art with the guys and sort of the animal heads right there. Very cool. And, you know, I did not see this in the theater, guys. What happened is basically MoviePass ended up putting money into the film for theatrical distribution, and there's been a lot of issues with MoviePass, and people got kind of pissed that they were sort of shoving this movie and Gotti in people's faces to see, and they were like, oh, we're not going to see it. And a lot of people sort of boycotted the movies, and I was one of them. And I wish I would have seen this in the theater, guys, because it was such a fun movie, man. It really was fun. It really was well worth watching it. And it's based on a true story of these college kids who try to steal some of the most valuable, like, art books in the country, and how they planned it, and how just everything went to shit, and how they got caught, and the complications of everything. It really is very well told, very dramatic, very thrilling. The scenes of the heist are really tense, very well done. And in the movie, what I really appreciate about it even more, guys, is that a lot of times in these based on true story sort of crime thrillers, a lot of the true life people, they're at the end of the movie, you see a picture or two of them. Here, they're actually in the film themselves. They're actually part of the movie, talking about what happened, their thoughts behind it. It actually is part of the movie itself, and I really appreciated that. I thought it was really well done. And the acting is really great, especially Evan Peters from American Horror Story. He does a fucking phenomenal job in here. I hope he gets more work, because he's fucking awesome here. It's just a really thrilling crime drama that, honestly, I am so glad that I took the plunge and checked out, because, you know, sometimes a movie really pleasantly surprises you, and this is one of them, guys. And after I saw it, I loved it so much that I'm like, if I don't buy this, I'm really going to regret it. It's such a wonderful, wonderful movie, guys. And there is some decent special features here. You do get a deleted scene, you do get still galleries, you get a couple of featurettes, which is really more TV spots. It's not really very in-depth at all. But the real gem of this Blu-ray here is the director and cast commentary, talking about the making of the movie, the difficulties to get it made, the real life people who were involved in this, the actors, everything. Definitely a very well done commentary. Definitely the gem of this Blu-ray. And, you know, I wish we would have gotten a little bit more featurettes talking about the making of this movie and the real life people, sort of how they got involved in it. I would have liked it, but honestly, you get some of that in the commentary, so that's not bad either. But it really is a well done movie, guys. If we're a little hesitant on it, if you decided not to check it out because of the MoviePass thing, I really do think you guys should check it out. It is really well done, and it was a pleasant surprise for me, and I'm really glad I picked it up. It's definitely one of those great surprises that I am definitely glad to have in the collection, guys. American Animals. Then the next title that I picked up is a Blu-ray digital of Tucker, the Man and His Dream, right here. And this is the 30th anniversary edition. My God, man, this thing is 30 years old. I didn't realize it was 30 damn years old, but time flies, what can I tell you? And some people have complained that their copies from Amazon didn't come with a slipcover. Some people got theirs with a slipcover. Mine did not come with a slip. I'm not crying spilled milk over it, guys. If it didn't come with a slipcover, I'm not too worried about it. It's not one of those collector's editions or limited editions where, you know, I sort of really want the slipcover. If I didn't get it, it's not a big deal. I'm not worrying about it too much. But this is a really solid movie directed by Francis Ford Coppola, and this is one of the more underrated Francis Ford Coppola films. You know, when you think of his filmography, you think of the Godfather trilogy, you think of Apocalypse Now, Bram Stoker's Dracula, The Conversation, stuff like that. You don't really think of Tucker, and it's definitely one of those, like I said, underrated gems. And it's basically about the true story of the man Tucker himself, who tried to invent a new type of car and sort of be a part of the car industry and revolutionize it, and how basically these companies tried to squash him and squash his dream. And it's about the little guy trying to rise up and make a name for himself. And I really did appreciate the story a lot. I really did love it. Jeff Bridges hits it out of the park. He does an amazing job, as does all the actors. They really are well done. I love the period, the clothing, the cars. It just screams very period film. I really loved it a lot. And, you know, I watched this movie when I was younger. And, you know, it's not a movie for everyone when you're younger, but I really appreciated back in the day my mother and father really sort of supporting me in checking out different type of movies. They didn't say, oh, just check out horror or just check out comedy. They're like, check out, you know, these type of thrillers, and check out these, you know, dramatic movies about a guy making a car. Like, they really encouraged me to check out really interesting and fascinating movies. And I'm glad I got to check this out when I was younger, because again, it made me appreciate people like Jeff Bridges, Francis Ford Coppola, before I really even knew who Francis Ford Coppola was at the time. And it's just a really well-made, well-done movie, underrated gem here. And some really good special features on this Blu-ray, guys. You get audio commentary by Francis Ford Coppola. You get a Francis Ford Coppola introduction, which is brand new, and he's sort of standing in front of a real-life Tucker car in the featurette here, talking about the movie, old school featurette that they did back when the movie was released. He talks about actually how he owns actually two real life Tucker cars that were made. He talks about George Lucas, how George Lucas owns actually two of the original Tucker cars as well. And very fascinating, him talking about his father and going to these old school car shows. Very fascinating stuff there. You also get a 1948 promo film, which is really fascinating. This promo film is actually a real-life promo film with the real-life Tucker himself, promoting his car, and you can either get commentary over it from Francis Ford Coppola, or you can get it without. Really fascinating promo film back from 1948. I was really amazed by that. And just a lot of really great features here, guys. It's a really great, underrated Francis Ford Coppola gem that I really do think you guys should check out if you haven't. It's well worth it. Tucker, the Man and His Dreams. And last, but certainly not least in this mega haul that I got, guys, is none other than a Scream Factory title, and that is Brain Scan right here, guys. Yes, Brain Scan. You know what? The 90s did have a lot of really cool horror films. Yes, it's not like the 80s. The 80s had far more, but I think the 90s had some really interesting gems in here. And, you know, this is a movie that I never got to watch back in the day. Honestly, as horror fans, we say to ourselves, oh, I've seen everything. I know I've seen everything. Honestly, guys, trust me, we haven't seen it all. Trust me, there's still a lot of gems out there that I have never seen, and Brain Scan is one of them. And it's about basically this teenage kid played by Edward Furlong who loves horror movies, horror video games, and he's sort of bored by all of the normal, everyday stuff. He wants something more thrilling, more exciting, and this video game of Brain Scan is just right there for him to try, and it's more complicated than he thinks, because it's basically a real life virtual reality style game where he's actually the killer and he's going to kill these people. And there's actually this sort of this entity that is continuing to try to get him to kill people, and it's very fun, very rock and roll, very punkish, and I really did enjoy this film, guys. I had a blast watching this one. This was a complete blind buy. When Scream Factory announced it, I wasn't sure about it. I was like, I don't know, should I pick it up? Brain scan? But you know what? I said to myself, you know what? Look, man, I'm going to give this one a chance. And I'm so glad I did, because this was a great blind buy. I love the shit out of this movie. Like I said, really fun. I love the character of Trickster. Trickster is just really sort of this sort of really wild, rockish, punk rock, you know, an attitude kind of villain, which I really dug, and I wish we would have gotten more movies with this character, because he's really fun to watch, man. He's really cool. I really love this character a lot. And overall, man, the movie's really fun. I think Edward Furlong does a really cool job with this movie. He's really awesome in it. And I'm watching the movie and I'm thinking to myself, God, I wish we would get more movies from Edward Furlong. And what happened to him, man? The last thing I saw him in was Night of the Demons remake. And I really like that movie, too. I wish he would do more stuff, because he is really awesome in this movie. And Scream Factory did a really great job with this title, guys. They really gave it the love that I think it really deserves. You get a new audio commentary with the assistant to the director. Really cool audio commentary talking about the director, the making of the film, everything involved with it. Very cool, very interesting. You get a digital debut and interview with the screenwriter here. Very fascinating interview talking about the writing process and how he came up with the idea. Very fascinating here. You also get a new talking with Trickster and interview with the actor T. Ryder Smith, who I've never seen before. Really well done interview talking with him. He talks about the makeup process and how he got involved with the movie, his audition process. Very cool. You also get a new Merging Realities featuring a special makeup effects artist supervisors and other effects artists. Really well done tale talking about the special effects. And what's great is they actually also talk about how digital was really in its infancy, and how makeup effects were slowly going the way of the dinosaur, but nobody knew it at the time. Really fascinating interviews with these guys. You also get a new musical virtuosity talking with the composer. Very cool cool interview, I should say. Very cool. You also get deleted scenes, behind the scenes footage, teaser trailer, theatrical trailer, TV spots, still gallery. Wow, there is a lot of love for this film, and rightfully so. You know, this is one of those 90s gems that you don't really appreciate until you see it, and you're like, you know what, this passed me by, but I'm glad I finally got to check this out. It was really well done, and God, it's one of those ones where I'm so glad that I gave it a chance. And places like Scream Factory and Code Red and Severin and Scorpion Releasing, all these places, they release stuff that you never checked out before, and sometimes you just got to give stuff a chance, and I'm glad I did, guys. Brain scan, really cool here. And I wanted to say, man, I'm sorry for the long video, guys, but there was a lot to talk about in this haul, and talk about a haul that I had, man. I had quite the haul here, guys. A lot of titles to talk about. It was definitely a worthy month of August, man. A shit ton came out. Definitely let me know what you guys picked up for the month. I definitely want to know. And, yeah, there's a lot of watching to do. Definitely a lot of titles and a lot of putting in the collection, which is going to take time, but very well worth it. And I am looking forward to September. You know, September is not really going to be a big month for physical media for me, guys. It's definitely going to be a smaller month. I'm trying to save a little bit of money, so I'm not going to have as many titles as this month or even last month. But I do know some really great pickups I'm going to get. Older titles that I'm going to try to pick up. Some newer stuff that's getting released. a lot of cool, interesting stuff that I know I'm going to get, so definitely check out for next month's Blu-ray pickups video. And I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, definitely give it a thumbs up. Let me know what you guys picked up for the month. I'd love to hear from you. And I want to say thank you to all the wonderful subscribers, everybody who has really given their time and effort to watch the videos and to comment. I appreciate you guys so much. And if you're not part of the Film Fan Nation, definitely become a part of it. If you love physical media, movie reviews, talking movies, a passion that I have. I love talking all that stuff. If you love me talking about it, love what I do on the channel, hit subscribe and become part of the Film Fan Nation. Also, I'm on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, FilmFan108. Check me out there and all the content that I upload to the channel here. Alright guys, that'll do it for the pickup video. I hope you guys, again, enjoyed it, and I will see you next month for a brand new Blu-ray pickup video. Take care, and happy hunting, guys.